Welcome to Euclid Ave. I'm your host, Melvin Harris, and today's episode is called The Submissive Woman. Uh, when we talk about a woman being submissive, it is not the sexual manner that you think. Most men think that just being dominant with a woman is going to make them worth being submitted to, and that's not the case. A submissive woman, and I go along the lines of my faith and Christianity of Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit being the anchors of how I lead as a man. That uh, that's the submissive woman that I believe, and that submissive woman is submissive to a man that leads in the way of Christ. Like he has structure, discipline. He's going to provide for his family. He is a servant. He isn't ruling with a authoritative, you know, hand. He would never put his hand on her. He would never disrespect her. Um and to be honest, the man has to also be worth submitting to. So she's submitting to someone who's Christ-like and walking in those values and um understanding and separation from the world and concentrating on the things that are not of the flesh but of the spirit. And when you are a man, you are submitting to, you are submissive, or being, you are worthy of being submitted to, because you are loving your wife as Christ loved the church, as Christ loved people, as the leader, the provider, the servant. And when you look at it like that, it's, I don't do it in any other stance or instance, because there are people, or there are men who believe that women should just submit to men just because they have the reproductive parts of a man, and that's not true. Um, there are a lot of men who they don't have a lot of confidence in themselves, so they they don't have confidence in decision making. When a woman is submissive to a man, it's because what he possesses and how he carries himself. She doesn't have to ask him to be such, and he doesn't have to beg her to be submissive. It's something that naturally happens. So you have a man who is, he has a good portion of his life together. There are all, there are things that we all have to deal with, but he is a man that you can see he planned ahead. Like some men, they will have a nice house, but it's for a family. They didn't get the house to just say, I got money, I got power, and that's what you submit to, money and power. That's not it, because that man can lead y'all down the wrong path and both of y'all in jail. We see that. But when you are a humbled servant and you carry yourself as such, and there are certain things that you just don't let infiltrate your mind, your body, your home, your life. um that's when women will be like, I want to be a part of that. Now, with that being said, I don't, it's not right, it's a sin, but I do understand why more women look to go after married men. It's because some married men, it's not all, but a man that is confident and he's he's a provider, and you don't have to ask him to do much. He does whatever he's supposed to do as a man. That's attractive because they don't have that. Now, there are women who are attracted to the man who's the drug dealer, who's he got money in the hood, and when you start to submit to those kind of things, you end up in toxic relationships, because for one, that man is not leading you the right way. He's not he's not even leading himself the right way. And he he's basically driven by materialism. He's not driven by anything of from a biblical standpoint. He doesn't have a solid foundation. When you think about Peter, he spoke about Christ being the cornerstone of your foundation. And anytime, like in the old days when they built structures, they had a cornerstone, and that's you went from that cornerstone on out to build your foundation. And anything that was slightly off from that cornerstone would just make a shaky foundation. And that is what it's meant to be Christ-like, and for the man to love it like he loved the church, that cornerstone. You have to have a solid foundation in order to lead any family. If you are a man who's out here trying to lead people, kind of like Dr. Umar, and you are trying to lead people and lead young men by speaking to them, and you're leading them down the wrong path, but you can't take care of your own home, that's not a man. You're just talking. And you can lead a lot of men down the wrong path to believe it's not just him, but to believe that women are just supposed to be submissive because you're a man. That's not true. If you think that you're supposed to have more than one wife, I don't know why men would think that they need to be celebrated so much. Now, the traditional view of being submissive is the woman tends to submit to the man to make decisions about, that's for the family in areas of like finance and how they move forward with anything, like the structure, the discipline, those kind of things. Women usually take on the role of being more nurturing and supportive and, taking care of things, behind the scenes when the man is out, you know, basically providing for the family. It's not that cave. I'm not speaking of like a caveman mentality where it's like I go out and hunt and, bop you on the head and take you back home or something like that, or kill animals and I bring them to you and you do all the cooking and stuff. That's not what I'm saying. It's more so the finances, and the daily routines of like the family. And if you are leading in a Christ-like manner, there's going to be prayer. There's going to be, love for God. There's going to be love for humanity. But there's also going to be boundaries. And in creating boundaries, it doesn't mean that you hit people and you cuss people out. She can trust you in decision making. She can trust you to leave the house and know you're not out there messing with somebody else, because you don't think that just because you're a man that has, control at home, that she's just going to be there. And a lot of men try to control relationships with their finances because they will have the woman to not make as much as them, or they would hate for a woman to make as much as them because that makes them feel less than a man. Then that's not again, you're not a leader because your financial status doesn't deem you as a leader. Your social status doesn't deem you as a leader. How you got there is how you got there. But I know I've been around a lot of men who are in positions of authority, or decisions of the positions of decision. My goodness, decision making, and they're not good at it. And it's because they don't have the ability to lead. They're not leaders. They wasn't born that way. They're trying to be. And you see a lot of those people, they get frustrated when the decisions they make don't go through. You will normally see these people have domestic problems at home because they don't understand what they're doing. And then you got to look this woman in the face who's probably telling you that you're not doing because she wants to be submissive, but she's telling you that you're missing that confidence and you don't know how to do anything about it. So sometimes those men turn around to be abusive, because in your mind you have this idea of being successful, having money, being a provider for your family, and then you can't get there. There's nothing that you can do. You have nothing to show for it. And they usually turn around to be abusive. Also, having the music. I've talked about this in a lot of podcasts, but or in a couple of podcasts that I got. But the music that people listen to and the substances that they take in, even trying to be on the man or the woman part. The the music that we listen to can make you feel like women are objects just for our pleasure. So we're out here making, decisions, and they're supposed to be gawking at us because we got the money, we got the power. That doesn't mean that you're submissive. That means that you're worth being submitted to. Because if you look at it from, like I said, the Bible standpoint, which is, you know, pretty much all I care about, is that you're supposed to be naturally supposed to be a leader. You know how to fit in this, and if there are certain things that you don't know, you go to God with it. You also consult her and certain things. Be like, hey, I'm gonna, you let her know what's going on, just so she's not thrown for a loop if something happens. You walk down it because you never know. She may have some input just from what she sees as a leader of my family, and the provider of my family, and the role model for my son, and kids in the future. I feel that it's important for them to see a household that is loving, that has structure, has discipline, also has accountability, but it's also inclusive. Like we're gonna make decisions. I'm gonna make decisions, but I do want to have everyone's input on how they feel about it. If they have any questions, we could talk about it. And I may hear something that helps me to maybe alter something to make it a little bit better, but um, I do make the the most of the decisions in my family, and it's because I'm supposed to be there. I'm supposed to have the confidence to do so. And it's about not being selfish. I know a lot of submissive women who believe that just because they feed their husband first before everybody else, is that they're being a good wife. I don't eat first. My wife fixes my plate, but I also fix mine sometimes too. I also fix hers sometimes too, but my son eats before me. He's a child. I'm the a provider. I am a servant. I do this because I love my family. So just because my wife lets me lead, it doesn't mean that I can't lead and being a servant as well. I don't have to just be out there and saying, I done been out all day, fix my plate, woman, clean this house, woman, or what you doing? It's like she steps in to help me when I need it. And when you look at Genesis, God created Eve to be a helpmate. And it wasn't for Adam to be dominant over her, to just tell her what to do and blah, blah. She was there to be a helpmate. The things that he needed help with, she was there to support him and help him with. And that's pretty much my wife. She is really good at that. My wife is nurturing. She is. I didn't have a lot, and I'm going to talk about in another podcast about mental health, but I didn't have a lot of love growing up after my dad died. I missed out on my dad's side of the family. My mom was already going through something, having 4 kids, and her husband being gone. So affection and all of that stuff, I'm not touchy feely. I'm not any of that. She is. And those are some things that she missed, but she has helped me to grow into being a better man, to be a servant to my family, but also to be conscious of her feelings and things that she needs. It's not just about me needing things; it's things that she needs. And you know, this I may be talking about men up to this point a pretty good bit, but you have to understand, as a submissive woman, you should be submitting to a man that is a man, not just a man that has man parts. And he can be a boy in the mind, and you can't submit to the flesh. That's one of the biggest things. You can't submit to your fleshly desires of a man because he makes you feel good. Because he's gonna turn around and wreck your whole life. Everything that you've stood for and everything that you've built as a woman, he is going to destroy that. He's going to destroy who you are as a person because he got you in the one thing that you thought was love, and it's not. You can't be submissive to um, everything that you see. Because a man comes and talk a good game doesn't mean that he's a leader. Not by any stretch of the means. I don't even. I ain't got no game. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, like the way me and my wife met. Like, I was at the gym. She was a trainer. Thought she was beautiful. Didn't really know how to approach it because I don't like. I don't necessarily like talking to a lot of people. Talking to someone in the open. Like if I'm pursuing a woman, um, I like to have that like a long time just to talk. Because if we're out, it's like she's at work. Like I've said, she was a trainer. So if we was talking, she may have a session coming up or whatever. So I may get to ask a question that doesn't get answered. Or I'm trying to rush to ask questions, and I'm not that kind of person. Like I need to know more about you before we even go forward. That's just the kind of person I am. So I ended up talking to my homeboy. He was like, "Man, you got to go and talk to her." I was like, "I want to talk to her, but I just can't get her, I don't know how to get her in a place where it could just be us talking. It just going out to eat or whatever." And the reason it wasn't something that I just walked up and said is because I worked I worked during the day and she trained during the day. So I wouldn't get to see her every day. It'd be like I remember I saw her once, and then it was like maybe 2 months later that I got to see her. So I ended up, and then I was leaving, and we were passing by each other at the light. So I ended up going on Instagram and going in the DMs, man. And I first asked her, if she had a man, because I didn't want to step on any toes, and I already thought she was a beautiful woman, so I asked her if she had a man because that's one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to respect your relationship. And she said that she didn't when we got to talking about things. But one thing that was centered in our conversation was our love for God. Now, at this point, this was, if you listen to my one about overcoming prosperity gospel, this was after COVID. So I've already established my love for God and my renewed pursuit of a better me. So we're talking about things, and she she was herself. I love for women to be themselves. I don't think you need to, be. People say she looked like Angela Simmons, but I don't think you have to be a certain thing. That's not necessarily what I'm looking for. I ask a lot of women about, the submissive part. Do you have a list? And most of them will say, "Yeah, I have a list." I think a lot of people have a list of certain things. My list is really short. Um, my list is I want you to be yourself. Now, I've always had a love for black women overall, and second was Spanish. But I've always had a love for black women, and it didn't matter skin tone or any of that. It didn't matter. Now, I didn't want you to be overweight, but it didn't matter if you were skinny or athletic or any of that. If you had a good mind, you had a love for God. Those Your love for God was my first thing. I look for one thing. I began to look at was tattoos. You know, tattoos on our body, and that I know some people get tattoos and they regret them, and later they just like, I don't even know why I got that. But I look at that, and if your mindset is still attached to those, then I'm not gonna pursue you because I'm not. It's not that you won't be a submissive woman, but I don't know if you would submit to God to have your own personal relationship with Him in order for us to be a family. Because I can't be the only one that loves God and has a relationship. Like I tell my wife all the time, like we both have our own. personal walk with God, but we do become one, and we have a together walk with God. Because the reason you still have to have your personal one is because you still go out into the world, and you don't want to lose what God has blessed you with by being loose, and that's women and men. Um, and that's why it's important when you're a submissive woman that you are submissive to a man that is worth being submitted to, and a man has to um, be worth submitting to. Now, my wife has tattoos, but none of them are like when I talk about. I looked at tattoos. Um, it's like when you have like deities and stuff like that on your body, snakes and all that kind of stuff. I'm like it, and you can say, well, that doesn't mean anything. Well, that's for you and whoever you going after, but it's not something that I'm gonna pursue because it just doesn't fit me as a person, but it doesn't fit me as a leader. I don't like, I'm not leading with that. And in some aspects I've dated women before in my younger years that had these sort of tattoos, and I'm you could say I'm just scarred about it or I'm being unfair, but they just wasn't what I needed. I'm gonna say that much. They toxic. Um they are uh loose. And a lot of them are fleshly driven. I'll say that much. And it's not just for you; it's for other people too. They're open with it, and that's something that I just learned. You know, is if I'm gonna be a husband and a dad, if I'm gonna be a husband and a dad, I have to be a servant, but I'm also one of those people that can like let go of something. So it doesn't matter, you know, when I was, especially when I was dating in my younger days before I met my wife. If you wanted to leave, you can leave because I would always say I gave you the best of me. So you can never say I did you wrong. You're leaving on what you want, you leaving because you're leaving. It's not because of me. So, you know, I've had women to say that, oh, you just don't care. You just gonna let me leave that easy. I never told you to leave. You're the one that came up with this. For out of the blue, you're the one that came up with this. So I don't have to I don't see how that fits in me being, you know, the one who initiated this. I was fine, but out of nowhere, you came up with this. So now this is where we are. And, you know, it's your fault. It's not mine. You chose that. And I found that those kind of women, they're still today looking for a husband. And I'm not saying if you're not married that there's something wrong with you. It's just there's a lot that men look for, especially good men. There's a lot that men look for, but it's a lot of it is centered on what you believe in and how you carry yourself. You know, I'm not one of those who like the loud talking. I don't care if you get excited, you know what I'm saying? But like everything is loud talking is you gotta twerk everywhere you go, you get too drunk, you know, like you cuss all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like there are a certain point to where you can't just keep saying that this is just who I am. Well, you're gonna get what you if you read the Bible, you're gonna reap what you sow. So if that's what you putting in, that's what you're gonna get out. If you looking for a husband and you putting in like girlfriend, side chick kind of, you know, if that's what you putting out there, that's what you gonna get back. That's what you're gonna attract. And you know, I know women say a lot of times that they attract the same type of man, and it's because of what you're putting out there, and what you deem to be your list. Like I was talking about a list earlier. I've asked women who, you know, they say they submissive or whatever. They will be submissive to the right man, and then I ask them, like, do you have a list? And they'll tell me yes. And I'm like, what's on your list? They put out so many things. Now, don't get me wrong, you have to be physically attracted to someone. And that can be that can it that well, not necessarily physical. You have to be attracted to someone in order for you to even approach them. Now it could be physically, it could be mentally. Like they just, you like the way they talk about things. Spiritually, you love where they are with God. Some we do notice the physical. And you can get to them and you can have a conversation with them and it can change your whole view of them. Like all of that stuff that you thought about them initially is gone. Now I've asked women who say that they can be submissive, like what's on their list, and they list a lot of fleshly things. You know what I'm saying? Gotta be 6'6", gotta have make six figures, gotta be light skinned, gotta be muscular, gotta have a deep voice, gotta dress right, gotta have a car, gotta have their own place, gotta have blah blah blah. When they get down to about the 20th line, gotta have a relationship with God. Baby, I don't think you looking for a husband. I think you looking for a toy. You're looking for a build-a-bear because you can find that everywhere on the street corner. To find a good man, you have to find somebody who leads, who loves the church like Christ is, who has that example, that structure, and that discipline. You have to. That's what you have to be looking for in a man. That's got to be the foundation. That's got to be your cornerstones of looking for a husband, because a man is out there for you. He's out there for you, but so is any man out there for you. The man is out there, and any man is out there. You can attract any man by having like fleshly desires to be what leads you to that person. Um, Now, I don't want women to think that every man out there can't get to a point to where they are able to be submitted to. There are some things that some men have gone through. Like it took me, I think I didn't start becoming the man that I was supposed to be until I turned around 24. That was about mine. I was still childish up until that point. But I think around 24, I went through the period of finding out who I was as a person, and I started my walk with God. Now I went back and forth with my walk with God, but I kept my structure and my discipline, and um, it got to a point to where I no longer cared about trying to like prove myself to a woman. I dated women that, you know, out of nowhere they would just come up with something. And I would be like, why are you making this such a big deal? And it's because you don't care. You don't seem to care. And that's the point when I started to just be like, well, you can go ahead and go, because I felt like I'm not gonna waste my time. And it wasn't any amount of sex or anything that could keep me there. Once you started playing games, I was pretty much done with it. And I started to let go of childish things. I started to detach myself from the world, and not all of the fleshly desires, but most of them, like just the unnecessary things. And it went on until I got up to the point of COVID, but that's when I really started to gain my foundation uh to be the leader that I am. But my dad died when I was young, and I didn't really have that. I had some structure and discipline because my dad showed me a lot before he died. My dad was my hero. He showed me a lot, but after he died, my mom was ruling with fear and discipline. Like, and I mean some over the top discipline. But I believe, that she was just trying to fill in that role because she had three boys. So it's like, I got to be tough on them. It was kind of like that, but it was misguided toughness because no matter what, you could have shaped me to not like black women because of how you were as a mom. You could have shaped me to hate just women in general because of how you did as a mom. You could have shaped me to um basically just be uh, H myself, gigolo, I guess, to be that myself and say I'm never getting married. I'm just gonna, be this dude out there and be with every woman that I can because I can. And those things didn't happen. I do thank God for keeping me in that structure that my dad placed. There are women who will ask the question: have men forgotten to be men worth submitting to? And I don't necessarily think that men have forgotten. I think that they haven't been taught because you look at a lot of what, especially like black men, and I know it happens in every culture, but like I said, I'm black, so I know this more. But in our culture, there's a certain stigma put on, um, exploring your feelings, like how you feel, expressing those feelings, crying, um, being doubtful, especially as a kid. And instead of having men to build you up and you say, hey, it's good to express that, you get to talk it out. So you don't have built up anger when you are older. They basically tell you that men ain't supposed to cry. Man up, stop that crying stuff. Men don't do that. You ain't gonna never have a woman if you do that. And you have men who bottle up their anger from all of those years and they end up taking it out on women. They end up taking it out on society. They end up taking it out on their kids, whatever it is. But you're told not to do these things as a kid, and you think that anger is the way to that you're supposed to express your emotions instead of being, taught as a young person to that being a man it entails expressing your feelings. It's not, you know, submitting or hiding your emotions from the world just because you're a man. That's one part of it. It's also the part of being emasculated, and that can come from being in a home. That can come from a lot of different aspects, but it can really come from being in a home that doesn't have a father. So basically, you are not taught how to lead, but you are dominated in your home by a feminine presence. And just like I said, I could have been a person who just didn't have that, but I still had the foundation of my dad. My dad died; he didn't leave us. You know what I'm saying? So there wasn't any resentment towards that. But I could have been a totally different man. Now, there are men who've been in these households with that are fatherless. And I often say that like if you've never seen a king lead with love, then you would think that ruling with fear is normal because you have to put a fear in a woman for her to even be submissive to you. You have to put a fear in a woman for her to um give you the keys to the family or any of that. You got to beat her into submission instead of being a normal thing. And that's where I mean that's what we're missing even in the unity in the black community podcast. This will go because you're missing the elders being able to be there for homes that don't have the men in it. So you can have um male influencer outside of the home that can teach structure and discipline and teach them how to be a king so that they don't think that fear is the way to rule. Women aren't looking for a dominatrix. They're not looking for a ruler. They're looking for a leader. They're looking for a partner. They're looking for um, someone that they can be proud to be with. Like if a woman is with a true man that knows how to lead, her family will never ask her, "Is he a leader?" They can see it. Anybody can see it. You don't have to ask for it. You don't have to beg for it. And you don't have to put it on display. You don't have to wear T-shirts that says he's the husband and I'm the wife. They know that. They know why you are with them. They accept that person because they can see their fruits. Like they lead with love. They lead with kindness. They lead with structure. They lead with discipline. They lead with boundaries. They lead their family. A lot of men, a lot of men have emotional. They are emotionally unaware of who they are as a person. So they may be more reactive than they are like proactive. Like they react to you. You will have them to, or you could say something to them, and they will react in a way that they just blow up, and they're not able to take criticism. They're not able to like sit down and have a conversation about how they feel because you got to think about it. If you growing up in this community where people keep telling you as a man you're not supposed to cry, you're not supposed to share your feelings. Um, you know you've never seen a man lead, so you haven't seen that king lead. So fear is the only thing that you know. Like is leading with fear is normal, and being fearful and snapping and all of these other things or putting fear in someone else is normal, then you're gonna be more reactive. It's gonna no one can talk to you. You're a loose cannon. And when that happens, you usually go out on everybody because there's so much confusion. There's so many emotions that people don't see you as a man. They don't see you cry. They don't see you cry. You cry in secret. We have a lot of men that do that. That they won't tell you that, but they cry in secret. And then they go back out, they wipe their tears and they go back out into the world. And no woman is going to be able to fix that. That takes a lot of therapy and, you know, breaking down those boundaries and those walls. That is a man who is not ready to lead. That is a man who is not ready to be um submitted to. He's going to, you can have fun with him. These are the things that you're not gonna see in the beginning, but you can have fun with him. He can talk about some things. Sometimes you will notice sometimes that there's a little red flag, but it ain't that big because you're gonna say, well, he checks off most of the things on my list, and then he's gonna get back into a wall when y'all get serious. If he's insecure, he's going to follow you. He's going to accuse you of things. He's going to start to try to attack your confidence and um the way you view yourself. He's gonna start to attack that. So people will be like, well, you used to be, vibrant and confident and laughing and everything, and now you're kind of, you know, you're not yourself anymore. And it's because of that dude. He's basically broke you down to the point to where you don't even look at yourself as the beautiful woman that you were. And it's because he doesn't see the the strong man that he could be, the leader that he could be. He never got that foundation. So it's going to take a lot of unpacking for this man. And that's going to take therapy. That's going to take time. So, with that taking time, if he's going to therapy and he's doing it on his own, and maybe you guys are going to a therapist together, maybe that could be someone that you could be with. But I would say, like, for me, I talked about the 3 years that I was celibate, but I was alone, and I had a lot of time to look at myself in the mirror and say that, like, yeah, I had some structure and foundation from my dad, but there were some things that I missed. Before I got out of the military, I went to therapy. When I got out of the military, it was suggested to me that I needed to go to therapy, and I went, and that that helped me out a lot. It helped me to let go of the childish, things that I had after my dad died. It helped me to become a better man. It helped me to see myself as being a provider and not someone that was just overlooked. Like I told you, I used to have the thing about insulting my intelligence, and that's because I didn't want to be wrong about anything because that would make me less than a man. There's a lot of things that you go through that you could put a child through that they take with them in their older years. And you'll see a lot of these kids go to jail. They just be angry. They don't know. You can't talk to them. They just go out from public. You like, well, what's going on? I don't want to talk to you. Blah, blah, blah. They have to keep going off because there's so much confusion and so much anger that's built up inside of them that they've gotten from their community. They've gotten from at home. They've gotten from, other family members that just don't add up. And, that's like I said, I thank God that that wasn't something that was like took over me because I still had my dad's structure and discipline with me, but I also didn't know how to truly be a man because I didn't really have a lot of examples around me. I mean, my uncles and everything, they were either in the military or they lived in different areas, so it wasn't like their fault, but it's like I was talking about with the village. We don't have a lot of elders or men that come into communities and help with children. Even if you're married and you got your own family, we don't have programs or anything in our community where there are leadership like opportunities for men to lead young men or women to lead young men or men to show young women what it is to see a real man. You don't see that sometimes. You see a lot of women getting with men who are abusive, and women start to see this, or little kids just in general. Little kids start to see this, and it shapes them when they get older. It's not necessarily just the talk, but you gotta think about it. It's a lot of confusion that's built up in a package that you're looking at that fits some of the things on your list, and the red flags are hidden. It's not until you've invested yourself and probably giving in to your fleshly desires where this man is going to wreck your life. Or in the man's standpoint, this woman is going to wreck your life because you saw the things that you wanted to see and you gave into that. And a lot of times you'd be like, ooh, my boy is going to be like, dang, boy, you pulled you one. Then you got you a bad one. And she's bad. She is bad for me. I think Wale had a song that was kind of like that, but what she say, I'll be good in bed, but I'll be bad to you. And that's a real thing. But you keep going back to her because of the way you feel in your flesh, which is why you have to be a spiritual leader. You have to have a foundation with God and Christ and Holy Spirit. You have to, as a man. And as a woman, you have to, in order to have discernment and those red flags show up because they should make your skin crawl. So for a man to truly show he is worth being submitted to, he leads by example. He creates a place of peace. He has structured discipline. He has a relationship with God. He's good with finances. He doesn't rule with fear. He's able to talk. He's able to serve his family, and um, he's consistent. And that's one of the biggest things. He has to be consistent. Now, let's talk about women who are worthy of being submissive. So, let's talk about what men should be looking for in a submissive woman. One, they should be looking for a woman that is she's willing to be submissive. She's not just doing it out of uh is she's willing to be submissive. She's not doing it as a weakness. Like she's not submitting to you just because she's vulnerable or she's doing it out of desperation. She's doing it because she genuinely sees the man that you are, and she could be a leader, but she would rather you do it because you do it well, and she has trust in you. And that makes it all the more easier for her to trust in this relationship, trust in having a kid with you, trust in having a family with you, trust in letting you go out, not letting you go out, but when you go out, you're not doing anything. She's able to go out and she doesn't have a second thought in her head about cheating on you because she knows what she got back home. So it's not that out of manipulation or any of that. She's not manipulating you because she can get something out of you or it's just a comfort zone. Like she ain't got to do nothing no more. She just, he taking care of everything. I'm just here. I'm just reaping the benefits. You don't, that's not a woman that you want to, as a man who's a leader. You don't want that kind of woman. The second part, you don't want a woman who is, like if she speaks life into you, right? But if y'all get into an argument, she's not sitting there like trying to belittle you. Like, oh, you know how some of them go now. Oh, you got a little thing. Oh, you that's why you breathe heavy when you walk or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like out in public, she's talking down on you in front of other people. She's making it look like she's emasculating you, like she's taking things from you. And as a man, you can't um you can't have that as a woman who you believe that is worthy of you being a leader. Is because that's the taking that peace out of your home. Like for a submissive woman to want a man, he has to create a peaceful space. But if you are that person that's taking the peace out of the home, that's not something that you should pursue. And this is before you got to have discernment and everything before marriage. Because what I'm talking about is that ring. It's not just having a boyfriend or a girlfriend for 52 years. It's about having a person that you're going to be with, because people who don't want to make that commitment is because they still, it's the idea of marriage. So in marriage, you feel like you're committing adultery if you do that. I'm not going to do that sin. That's naturally why you don't do it. You don't want it. You think that you need more than one woman, or when you're outside of the ring, you can do whatever you want to. And that's not true. But you feel like you can do whatever you want to. If you have someone who's wasting your time the whole time, it's because you are not the only one that they're pursuing. If no one else is out there, then they'll take you. But they still want to keep their options open just in case there's something better. Now you can give them everything that you want to give to them. You can be the best person that you're going to be in life, and they will still choose to go elsewhere or entertain other things just because they're not just, they're not sure if you're going to be the one that they're going to be with forever. And that's wasting your time. Now you also want a woman who is, she's able to check you sometime, because as a man, like you can get to the point to where you think like every decision you making is just right, and she could check you with like, she's not gonna do it with the chaos I was talking about earlier. She's gonna do it with like love and but probably a sense of sternness, because she's gonna get that from you. Like so, and when you're in a marriage or a relationship or anything, you rub off on each other. So she's gonna know how you present things. She's probably gonna present it to you like that because that's how you understand things. And if you are a leader, you're able to take criticism. You're able to say, oh, okay, I was wrong. I can put that in, because me being a servant and caring about you, I'm going to put that in there because I still want to keep this peace in my home. And keeping peace in your home is not cheating. It's not. It's my phone can lay open. My wife knows the code to my phone. You know what I'm saying? Like she can get in there anytime. It's not. I'm not trying to create anything that's chaos in my home, but it's also with my job. Like I don't bring any of that home. We may talk about work and our frustrations, but it's not like I'm not saying what I need to say at work to the people that I need to say them to. There are people, and this happened to me in my childhood with certain family members. They will they're not able to say what they want to say to the people that they want to say them to, and they take out their anger on you. And that's because they feel so small in that space and they feel like they have to do it because this is something they need, instead of saying, being confident enough to say, hey, I don't like that. You don't have to cuss people out, but hey, I don't like that. And then they bring it home to you, and it turns into something that's so much bigger than it needed to be. And that's taking that peace away from your home. And that's, you know, why I say that you have to, you know, come to people with you have to, that chaos has to be gone, but you have to be in a headspace to where you don't have chaos. Like you're not adding to it. She also has to have accountability. Like she has to know when she was wrong. And also you knowing when you're wrong. It's a mutual understanding. Um, not just blowing up. Like a lot of stuff that's leading to not being a submissive woman or a man that's worth being submitted to, it's out of anger, and it's out of not knowing yourself, and it's out of like influences that shouldn't be a part of you anyway. Those are the things that um this seems to keep coming back to. So you're out there looking for a husband, you're out there looking for a wife, and in that you still have to be who you are, right? But you have to be a better you. You can't just be walking around saying this is who I am, but it's having accountability for um the actions that you've done to maybe cause confusion or cause chaos within, us having to understand that communication is key in any relationship or anywhere where you're trying to start, but it has to be consistent. And when you see a person that isn't consistent, you have to continuously put them back on the right track. You might want to leave that alone because they're not going to be. You're looking for something that gives you peace, and they keep disrupting that. That's why you keep asking about it and talking about it. That's not accountability. You're being accountable for them, and they should be accountable for themselves, man or woman. And man, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like you can't be looking for. I mean, you gotta look for a woman that got high standards. Like high standards for you to be the leader. And it's these, she don't even have to say these things, right? You already have them. And you have them without being the person that rules with a they fist or whatever. Like the rules with fear. You literally are a leader. And she's going to see those things. Her whole list went out the window because the confidence that you carry, the um when things, no matter how things go, you are the one that, nah, I'm gonna take care of that. Like if we lost it all today, I'm gonna send you, he'll say something, I'll send you to your mama house. She may even be like, I'm gonna be down with you too. I'm gonna go and get this and blah, blah, blah. But it's like the man gonna be like, no, I'm the one that's gonna go out there and get that back. I'm gonna go work these 12 hours, 7 days a week or whatever to get us back because that's what I'm supposed to do. I know a lot of just from being in a supervision, standpoint or position, that I've noticed a lot of women are more, um, they're probably stronger than the men. I see a lot of women that work harder than men. There are a lot of men that men aren't men. Men are becoming far more feminine. They, it's a lot of the the standards that women look for in a man. They're not there no more. That confidence, that you know ability to dress like a man, ability to talk like a man, ability to lead like a man, ability to have structure and discipline, to especially like men who don't want to go to work, men who don't want to do anything but still want you to be with them. It's the same as men who are with women who don't want to do anything. That's Men don't like that. They don't want you to just be there. Like, what are you working on? Are you working towards something? Now, if you at home and you taking care of the kids and you holding the house down and all that, that's not what men don't like. They like that. But if you are just there, like when I left the house, you was in the bed, and when I got there, you're still in the bed, you gotta go. That's not something that men want. But I mean, I don't know why men would think that women would want that from them. You're supposed to be the provider. You're supposed to be the leader, and I'm doing more than you. As the woman is doing more than you. So what does that leave her? She can just do this on her own. And a lot of people talk about the feminist movement. You probably wouldn't really have that if there was men. Now I know that there are oppressive men out there, but if you had more men that were leaders and probably included their women in certain things that they did, that they wouldn't have to be the man. Because you have to be honest, man. A lot of men they're not doing their job. Like women kind of have to be a man too, because you're not stepping up. And I think that's one of those accountability things, man. Like you look at men today. I mean, you look at some of these pastors, and they're supposed to be leaders in the community, and they're, you know, it's just like, I know people say it's fashion, and you look at them, you look at politicians, you look at, you know, uh, role models or whatever you want to call them, and they're closely dressing like women, carrying around purses, wearing tight jeans, and sagging and all of that. Like if you sagging, I'm gonna be honest with you, that ain't no submissive man kind of thing, man. That's not a Once you pull your pants up and put a belt on, that's when you ready to go out there into the world. Because you gotta, especially if you gonna own businesses, you gotta speak to different people. That's the difference in a man. That's a leader. I can't go out there like this, man. Like I'm going to be in rooms with different people. I'm going to be in different situations, and I have to think about how this is going to affect my family. Am I providing for my family? If your thoughts are selfish, fleshly led, not spiritually led, but fleshly led, and you just want to do things because you want to do them, this is just who I am. They're gonna have to take me as you're gonna miss out on a lot of things that help you move forward with your family. Like people talk about breaking generational curses. I mean, most of the time you your own curse. It's just something that just keeps cycling around in the community. And a lot of it is mindset. But as far as women being submissive, you have to watch what it is that you're submitting to. Is it a man, or does it just have man parts? And for a man, this is called a submissive woman, but for a man to recognize a woman that is worth um, submitting to him, she has to have characteristics that help you and lift you up, but she can also correct you in the right way. She doesn't, do things out in public that's going to embarrass you. She doesn't emasculate you. She has something that she's working towards, or she's a beast at the house. She's taking care of things. Like even in business, she can be that person that just holds things down, like an assistant or whatever. Like she's there to help you. And that's not to say she don't have her successful businesses where you can't help her. But she knows you're still the leader. You are the man of the house. And that's what being submissive is. If you think submissive is just because you go into the bedroom and you have good sex and you think that, oh man, Shorty, I got Shorty hooked. There's a lot of people who are hooked on that, and women hook men on that, but that's not going to lead to anything but arguments and fussing and fighting and toxic relationships, because it's fleshly led. It's not spiritually led. But I want to thank y'all for sticking around with this conversation about the submissive woman. Like, share, subscribe, leave in the comments whatever you want to about this. We can keep this discussion going. And I hope to see y'all on the Ave again. Peace.